Hi Dr. Fawad, my name is GOH CHANG ZHE from section 6 and I'm going to explain and demonstrate about the lab 3 part 1c program 1. So in the data section we initialize all the data we need. First is the string that we need for display, and then site hex1 variable in DWORD size we didn't initialize it with any specific value. This is used to store the site length of the first hexagon, and then the parameter hexagon1 in DWORD size, this is used to store the parameter of the hexagon1. Site hex2, same, to store the site length of second hexagon, and then parameter site hex2 to store the parameter of the second hexagon. Total parameter is used to store the sum of the parameter of first hexagon and the parameter of second hexagon. And then I'm going to execute it. Okay, first we're going to display the title string. For now there's nothing. Display it. We're going to move the address of the title string into the EDX register, because later we're going to call write string, and the write string is going to read the address of the string in the EDX register and then display it. Alright, you can see it got displayed now. Okay, and then call CRF to move to the next line. Alright, move to the next line, and then we'll get into this label now, read parameter 1. Same, we're going to display the input 1. Okay, it got displayed, and then call readDec to let user make input of the decimal value. This time I enter 21, it is a valid input. Okay, and then we're gonna move value of EX register into site hex1, because just now we call readDec and user make input, and the input value is going to store in the EX register. So you have to move the value of EX register into site hex1. Okay, and then GNC read parameter 2 is if the carry flag is equal to 0, then it will jump to this read parameter 2. For this, when will the parameter is equal to what, not equal to 0, is when user enter an invalid input like empty string or white space. So for the next input, I will show what will happen when you enter an invalid input. You can see I jump to this read parameter 2, and then same, we're going to display input to string. Alright, display it. Okay, and then call readDec. Okay, and then this time enter empty string, invalid input. Same, move the value of EX register into site hex2, and then the carry flag is equal to 1 now, so this will not be jumped. You can see those lines be executed. This, and then we're going to display prompt back to tell user that you enter invalid input. Alright, enter invalid input, and then call CRF, move to the next line. Alright, move to the next line, and then jump back to the beginning of read parameter 2 to let user enter input again. So if it will ask user to input again until it enter a valid input. Right, display it, and then readDec to let user make input. This time enter a valid input. Alright, the carry flag is equal to 0 now. Okay, and then store the input value into the site hex2. And then since the carry flag is equal to 0 now, it is a valid input, then we'll jump to this calculation. Alright, so for now we're gonna add the site length of the hexagon into the parameter now. So first we have to move the value of site hex1 to EX register for the addition later. In the addition, we're going to need at least one register in the addition. Alright, and we're going to move value 6 into the ECX register, because in the hexagon we have six site length in total. So we're going to make a loop for 6 iterations. Alright, so for the first loop, we're going to add the value of the EX register, which is site hex1, into the parameter hexagon1. Alright, we're going to loop it for 6 times. Every time this line loop L1 can execute, the ECX will decrease by 1. And when the ECX is equal to 0, then the loop will be terminated. So it will be 6 times. Alright, after 6 time loop, then we get into the second loop, which will to calculate the value of the parameter hexagon2. So move the value of site hex2 into EX register for addition later, and then move value 6 into ECX for the iteration for 6 iteration. Alright, same, move the value of the site hex2 into the parameter hexagon2. We're going to add the value of site hex2 into the parameter hexagon2. Alright, loop for 6 iteration. Same, if the ECX equal to 0, then it got terminated. Alright, since all the parameter got calculated, we have to display the result now. So first display the result string. Call CRF, move to the next line. Alright, got displayed. Okay, and then move the value of parameter of first hexagon into EX register, because later we're going to call writeDec, and this will display the value of the EX register. And at the same time, we're going to move the value of the EX register into the total parameter. Alright, display it, call writeDec. You can see the value of the parameter hexagon1 has been displayed. Move to the next line. Same thing, we're going to display the parameter hexagon2, so we have to move it into the EX register. At the same time, add the value of the EX register into the total parameter. And then call writeDec to display it. Alright, get displayed. And then move to the next line, and then display the total string. Alright, and then move the value of total parameter into the EX register for the display, and then display it. Alright, you can see get displayed. Okay, call CRF, and then exit, because that's all of our code. Okay, so let's start debugging it. We're going to execute it once and for all to see if the output is really correct. Okay, so it is correct. The output is just like the output just now. Okay, and that's all of my explanation. Thank you. So I'm going to explain about the lab 3 part 1c program 2. So first we initialize all the string we need, and then we initialize an array called hello in DWORD size, and it has 6 elements in it, and all of those elements we initialize it with value 0. Next is the variable called total even in DWORD size. We didn't initialize it with any specific value. This is used to store the sum of the elements in the hello array that will with even index, like hello 0, hello 2, hello 4. And then next is a total odd in DWORD size. This is used to store the sum of the elements in the hello array with odd index like hello 1, hello 3, hello 5. Next is the count variable with dword size. We initialize it with value 0. This is going to work as the index of the array. Next, and then we're going to execute it. First, we're going to display the title string first. Alright. Okay, you can see that displayed. We move the address of the title string to EDX register and then call write string to display it. And then move to the next line. And then move value 6 into ECX register, because later we're going to make a loop that will have 6 iterations. And in each iteration, we're going to let user to make input. So we have total 6 input in this program. Right, you can see we're in the loop now. Okay, we're going to display the input string first. It got displayed, the string got displayed, and then call readDec to let user make input on the decimal value. For the first time, I want to enter a value input like 20. Alright, and then JNC good in option is when the carry flag is equal to 0, then it will jump to this good in option. Else, if the carry flag is not equal to 0, that means it is an invalid input like white space or empty string, and then those lines will be executed. For the next iteration, I will show what will happen when you enter an invalid input. So this time, we just now enter a valid input, so we get into the good in option now. And then move the value of the count into EDX register, because in the index addressing, we have to use register as an index. And then we're going to move the input value that we just entered just now. For the call readDec, the input value is going to store in the EDX register, so we have to store the value of the input value into the first element of the hello array. Alright, and then add value 4 into count, because it is a dword size array, so if you want to store the value into the second element, you have to increase the index by 4, because there is 4 bytes in one element. Okay, alright, and then we're going to get into the second loop. After execute this loop L1, the ECX will decrease by 1. Alright, and then display it again, display the input string again, and then call readDec, let user make input. This time I enter invalid input like empty string. Okay, you can see the carry flag is equal to 1 now, then we will not be jumped. Alright, you can see it didn't jump. We'll get into those line now, and then execute the prompt back to tell user that you enter the invalid input. Alright, enter the invalid input, and then call CRF, and then jump back to the beginning of the read in option to let user enter the input again. Okay, so I have to enter input again. This time I enter an valid input 25. Okay, then carry flag is equal to 0 now. We jump back to the good in option to store the value. Same, move count value into EBX for index addressing, and then store the input value into hello arrays. Right, this is the second element, and then add 4 into count again, loop it again. So I'm going to start to enter the input very quickly, because I already explained. It is actually the same thing, but it just keep on looping. Okay. At the same time, you can see that in the memory windows, the value has been added into the hello array. Okay, right, the value has been added, and then increase by 4, get into the loop again. Alright, this time enter 40. Okay, jump into good option, and then move the value again, and then store the value into the input value into the hello array again. Okay, and then this is the last loop, last iteration. Okay, jump into good option, and then store it. Alright, so the ECA is equal to 0 now, then the loop got terminated. So we're going to get into the next loop now, which is L2. This is going to store the elements that in the hello array with even index, like hello 0, hello 2, hello 4 into the total even variable. So there is three iterations in one loop. So I have to store value 3 in the ECX, and then renew the value of the count. Alright, so same, we're gonna move value count into the EBX register for index addressing, and then store the value of the first element into the EF register, and then add the value of the first element of the index of the array into the total even variable. Okay, and then add value 8 into the count variable, because there is 4 bytes in one element, right? So there's total 8 bytes in two element, and you have to skip the odd index. You have to increase by 8. Okay, increase by 8, total 8 bytes. Okay, I'm gonna loop it for 3 times just to add the elements into the total even. Right, after 6 times, the loop 2 got terminate, and we're gonna get into the third loop. Same, move values 3 into ECX register for a loop that will have 3 iterations. And this time we're gonna load value 4 into count, because this time is elements that have odd index. Okay, same, this is for index, and then store the value of the element into EX register for addition later, and then add the value of the EX, which is the hello with EBX index, this one, into the total odd, and then increase by 4 just to make it for the next loop. Okay, after 3 times, the loop got terminate and all the variable got calculated. So now we have to display the result now. First, we have to display the result title string, and then move to the next line, You can see it got displayed, and then display the sum even result string. Got displayed, okay, and then move the value of total even into EX register, because later we're going to call writeDec, and the writeDec is going to display the value of the EX. So if you want to display total even, you have to store it into the EX register. Alright, display. Alright, got displayed. This is the total sum of first element, third, fifth, which is index 0, index 2, and index 4. Okay. Then call CRF, move to the next line. This time display the sum odd result string, and then move the value of the third odd variable into ES register to display it. Alright, it got displayed, and then move to the next line, and then exit, and that's all of our code. So this time I want to execute it once and for all, start debugging it to see if the output is really correct. Alright, so the output is the same, okay, and that's all of my explanation. Thank you, doctor.